We dissected, this was the basis of Michael Pollan's In Defense of Food book, wasn't it? Where he talks about you can't just compartmentalize food. We know that there are components of food that when we eat them, they work together, and we don't understand all the values of them. It's just in the last 20 years that we learned about conjugated linoleic acid in pasture-based meats and dairy and poultry. You say, well, what's conjugated linoleic? Well, it bothered us for a long time. How is it that in Argentina, where the per capita consumption of red meat, you ready for this, is 165 pounds a year? I want you to think about that. That means the average Argentinian eats half a pound of red meat a day. Is that amazing or what? Now, I just finished on this trip out the Charles Mann book 1493, the sequel to 1491. I don't know if he's going to do a 1492 one or not. And he talks in here about the Irish potato famine, and that in Ireland in the 1600s, the per capita consumption of potatoes was 12.5 pounds a day. It was potatoes and a little bit of dairy, and that was it. That was the diet. 12.5 pounds a day. All right. But anyway, in Argentina, they eat half a pound of red meat a day. Every day. But their colon cancer rate is half the U.S. colon cancer rate. Researchers learned, how can this be? I thought colon cancer caused, red meat caused colon cancer, all this stuff. And they wrung their hands, how do we figure out, what's the difference here? And lo and behold, somebody discovered conjugated linoleic acid, also known as CLA, because Americans can't talk in multisyllabic words, so we simplify everything. CLA. And it's the #1 anti-carcinogen in the world. It makes a double bond helix molecule that looks like a packing peanut, and one of its functions is to maintain the elasticity of the synapses in the nerve endings, among other things, among being the #1 anti-carcinogen. What's fascinating is that it only takes 14 days of grain feeding an herbivore to chase it all out of the body. But when you don't feed grain to an herbivore, suddenly all this conjugated linoleic acid accumulates in the tissue. And so that explains suddenly, they realized why. Well, farmers like me did not buy into the USDA or US does idea of taking wining and dining, well, not wine, but steak dinners, farms like me for 30 years, and told us, you need to adopt this new scientific way of feeding cows, where we take dead cows and we grind them up and we feed them back to cows. And if you want to be a real progressive farmer, here's what you do. And our family looked and looked and looked all over the world at herbivores, wildebeest on the Serengeti, Cape buffalo in Botswana, reindeer, moose, elephant, giraffe, yaks, water buffalo, cows, sheep, llamas, alpacas. You can go down the list. Not a one of them ate carrion. Couldn't find it. So we didn't buy into this idea, not because we hated the USDA or because we weren't progressive or hated science or anything like that. It was because we couldn't find a natural template that honored the cowness of the cow or the herbivoreness of the herbivoreness in which they ate carrion. So it was the philosophical, the moral, ethical framework around the life, the respect for the pigness of the pig, the cowness of the cow, the tomatoes of the tomato, that created a moral, ethical boundary to protect us from innovating beyond our ability to metabolize the innovation. See, we humans are pretty clever. And I know we've got some clever ones in this room here today. Built businesses and done all sorts of cool stuff. Lots of innovation, all right? But you know, we can innovate things that we can't spiritually, ethically, morally, emotionally, or physically metabolize. So we can invent things, and then we spend the rest of our lives trying to figure out how to handle the damage that our innovation created. You know, we've innovated high fructose corn syrup. And how much money is now being gone trying to undo type 2 diabetes epidemic and obesity due to the fact that we've invented how to, for the first time, you know, in human civilization, you know, the last couple hundred years, to actually give everybody all the synthetic sugars they want. It was always hard to come by. You know, honey, maple syrup. I mean, you know, honeybees don't just give you their honey. You know, maple trees don't just give you their, you know, it's hard to get sweeteners in years past. And so we can invent things we can't metabolize. And that is why when we talk about creating a food system that is actually landscape friendly, we're talking about a food system that fundamentally has what I call a sacred, holy component. Because the truth is, the way this cycle of life works is that life dies to give new life. All right? When you mash down on a carrot, we didn't have any carrots here today. When you mash down on a carrot and you chomp down that carrot and you take the life of that carrot, you kill it. That carrot gives its life and you munch it all up and you chomp it all up and it goes down into your insides, it mixes with your saliva and all these, you know, and you have, you ready for this? You have 3 trillion bacteria inside here. A community of beings, you know, and they're having parties and school board meetings and, you know, mayoral elections and, you know, who knows what else going on there. But this is a huge community of beings, right, down in our insides. And of course, they swarm over this carrot and they jump on it and eat it and consume it and take its sacrifice that we may live. There can be no life without sacrifice. And so when I talk to school groups and school kids, I say, if you want your friends to live, you will sacrifice in servitude to them. Because that is how you impart life to the people around you and in your family. It's in sacrifice that we impart life. And that sacrifice is sanctified by the kind of respect and honor that we give it in life. And so it is when the pig has lived well. It is when the tomato has lived well. Not a tomato, you know, today, we view tomato, again, it's not a living thing. Tomato's just, you know, something that's pretty and you ingest it, you know, on your way to the soccer game. And so all of our research in the last 40 years, as we have put 1,500 miles between a farm and fork, is to how do we make a transportable tomato, an indestructible tomato, a tomato that can take, you know, 2,000 miles of being jostled up and down in a truck